And as the narrative proceeds, Narad tells what is going to happen exactly 1 year after Savitri meeting Satyavan. It is destined, it is decreed that Satyavan will die after their marriage. The marriage has already taken place. The time, where, kala, dinner, everything is fixed already. So it was the hour before the gods awake. All this is happening, and foreseen immutable road. Who has fixed that? How does Narad know that? He knows it somehow. But he brings that knowledge to Savitri that look, Savitri, you have chosen something which in the immediate context may look disastrous, calamitous, not very pleasant, inauspicious. 12 swift winged months are given to him and her. 12 swift winged months. Yes, they will fly so rapidly that the day will arrive and Satyavan die. He has to die. At the end of the first canto, we have got the line, this was the day when Satyavan must die. That day has been foreseen by Narad, already foreseen by Narad. The time, everything has been written down in the book of destiny. Narad has access to that book of destiny and he reads out the sentence on that key. So fate followed her foreseen immutable route. Foreseen, therefore we could see that it might be Narad who has foreseen it. It could be Narad, it could be somebody else, even beyond Narad. Narad has only read it out, that sentence. It has already been fixed somewhere else, and he has simply brought that piece of information as a message to Savitri for a certain purpose. He feels, in a certain sense, obligatory to deliver that message to Savitri. He feels it, in a sense, he feels it obligatory in the promotion of the will of his Lord, Vishnu, the Creator, for a certain purpose. He has identified himself so much with Vishnu that he is carrying that Vishnu's will and delivering the message. So it is possibly Vishnu himself who has foreseen that road, immutable road. It is decreed, finished, immutable road. Now, while therefore the fate is fixed transcendentally, nothing can happen. Yet the transcendental will has to be worked out in the dynamics of the universal operations. It has to be worked out in the dynamics of the individual's pursuit, individual's engagement with it. The three things have to be met together if a certain will has to get fulfilled. The transcendental will is fixed. Fate, the cosmic working, the cosmic forces, they have to conjoin together to see that everything is arranged and things do happen. On the individual level, it is also necessary for the individual to lend himself to that will. He can refuse it, he can accept it. He can refuse it, he can accept it. And therefore, we have here all the three. The transcendental aspect is there, the cosmic forces are gathering together. Savitri has to be ready to execute that will. If she is not there, she will be like Arjuna. Arjuna will have to be coaxed to take up the weapon of victory in his hand and fight against the enemy. Savitri has to be prepared. In a certain sense, Narad has already done that. He has put his yogic force in the soul of human Savitri. Savitri has taken human birth. He has already put his soul, force of the soul, in her soul, Savitri, to steal the will of Savitri, to steal, to make it firm. That Narad is making known to Savitri, look, Savitri, this is what is going to happen. And now Savitri is prepared for that. So what Narad has already done is, Narad has not only brought the word of fate from the house of Vishnu, but also contributed something to the process by making Savitri ready. He has given yogic diksha to Savitri. Savitri, this is going to happen. Please get ready yogically. Be prepared to achieve your mission in this life here. You have to get ready for that purpose. Then only your mission is complete. That is the role which is played by Narad by seeking that. In fact, Narad has done three things. In the plain language, he has brought the message and delivered it to Savitri, like a postman, whatever to call it. And he has formed up the will of Savitri that she must execute that will. Not only that, he also brings why Savitri must do that, why Savitri must attend to that decree. Yogically all right, but why? What for? Because it is through that action of Savitri that the divine event will arrive. The yogic transformation which is expected, the arrival of the divine event, for that Savitri will have to prepare herself. And then things will happen, you see. Death has to be conquered. Death which is lost in the physical, that has to be dislodged. Then only the divine event can really begin. So Narad has simultaneously done all the three things in one act. Somebody had asked Shrivandu whether he had seen Narad, whether he had met Narad. He didn't say yes or no. That is always clever of Shrivandu. He said, on one occasion, the mother saw Narad on the borderline between the overmind and supermind. Between the overmind and supermind, she saw Narad there. So when Narad is bringing a message or whatever to call it in that form, it is coming directly from that plane. There is a certain degree of inevitability in it, and it has to work itself out. So that is the kind of Trikala Drishti, the vision of all the three times which Narad has. He knows the past, he knows the present. Savitri has discovered Satyavan. Yes, you have found love, but Savitri, you have to also find death. Then only your work will be done. Otherwise, simply finding love is not going to help you. You have to find death also. So he has already, with that Trikala Drishti, he has brought that information, and therefore this line, fate followed her, forcing immutable road of the divine event. That is the road on which the divine event is occurring. If it has to occur, the cosmic forces, the individual forces, the divine will has already been put. They have to come together and achieve what is behind it. So that is the message which Savitri has received from Narad. And then we have, in the same description, the third sentence, fate followed her, forcing immutable road. That's the first sentence. The third sentence we have, nature and fate compel his free will's choice. Here he stands for a universal man, which of course here applies to Savitri. Nature and fate. The cosmic forces have compelled Savitri as an individual to accept and proceed further. And Savitri has now to get ready yogically for her what you see. Fate is the executive force or the universal will. It fixes the personal nature also. It determines all the cosmic circumstances. It determines the way the soul gets ready to achieve those things. Now, in one of our revelations, the mother mentions that according to Theon, it is falsehood who created death. So, if it is to be so, does it mean that vanquishing death, dissolving death, removal of death would mean automatically the removal of falsehood? Not necessarily. Death has been removed, all right. Death is a product of falsehood. What we are removed is product, falsehood's product. So that is not really going to be the real victory of Savitri. If falsehood were the creator of death, it cannot be so. She has to strike the other way around. In other words, the implication is that Theon's occult understanding of things does not suit Savitri the epic. According to Savitri the epic, it is death which has created falsehood. Death is the original of falsehood. So if falsehood has to go away, go to the root of things and knock out death. Automatically along with that, death will go away. So that is what Savitri's work, mission is getting implied in terms of the basics of the whole creation. Removal of death means removal of falsehood. The four powers had separated themselves from the divine origin, they had become opposite, etc., all those things happened. But unless death is removed, nothing will change. And the divine event is waiting for the removal of this death. Removal in the sense, death, of course, is necessary in the process up to a certain point. It is death in the present circumstances or the cosmic manifestation on the Mrityulokam who promotes. Death promotes life. Life makes progress because of death. Because of death. It is a boon that we are able to make progress because death is present at this stage. But now Savitri says this need not be so anymore. As long as the progress is in the domain of ignorance, death is a necessity. It is promoting the progress of life, carrying on the evolution further. But that need not be so now. If the divine manifestation has to be there, if things have to progress in not in knowledge, not in ignorance, but in knowledge, then death has to go away. Death is not necessary for the progress of life in that case. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean that death is dissolved, death is killed, death is destroyed? It cannot be. Death is an immortal. He is an immortal. He is immortal. In fact, death is none but for a certain kind of an operation. The Supreme Himself who has taken that poise. It is the Supreme Himself who has taken that poise for a certain kind of a work functioning to be carried forward. So, Death cannot be dissolved, cannot be destroyed. All that can happen in Savitri's work is death will get transformed into his original self. He will get transformed into his original self. Supreme had taken a certain poise, he has assumed, put on himself a certain mask, he has to remove that mask and throw it away and reveal himself fully in his divine glory. That is the transformed death which will come forward, and then it is that transformed death who will grant boon after boon to Savitri. Savitri, your desire is for the soul of the earth. Well, I grant it. And then he sends her back to the earth, Mrityu Loka. Yes, now things happen. So it is that transformed death which is now going to give boon to Savitri, and with that boon, Savitri will come here and carry on her work further. Then at that point, the gods will awake, the divine work will begin. They cannot do work in the field of ignorance. They will not do their work in the field of ignorance. They will be asleep until then. They will not do their work in the field of ignorance. In fact, this particular line, it was the hour before the gods awake. In the first time, in the 25th draft of Savitri. Shebanu was writing and writing the Simmerdawn many times. For the first time it appears in his 25th draft. So, see how much he was packing everywhere. And again there, see the miracle. The miracle is in the earlier form of that line, it was the hour before the gods awake. G was a small g. In the last draft, he changed that G from small to capital G. Capital G. He has put his seal, no, not overmind gods, not other gods. It is the supreme God, the transcendental gods who have to awake for that thing to carry on. So the change of small g to capital G is of a very capital importance. The whole yogic notion of it emerges from the single thing like that, you see. And it is in that context Savitri has now to do her yoga, to do whatnot, etc. like that, you see.